Stress, mistakes, failure. These things sound scary, but in reality, they're an unavoidable part of life. Today, let's talk about resilience, not as some abstract concept, but as a skill that can be learned and strengthened. I have a friend who's a researcher and clinical psychologist at UCLA. Over the years, he's worked with NASA on studies about stress and resilience. NASA, the place famous for the phrase, "failure is not an option." But he sees it differently. Failure isn't just an option, it's a necessary part of building resilience. Resilience isn't about avoiding stress or failure. It's about facing them, learning from them, and growing because of them. Whether you're working at NASA, studying in school, or dealing with everyday challenges, resilience doesn't come from eliminating difficulties, it comes from how we respond to them. It's not about avoiding mistakes, it's about learning from them. It's not about never failing, it's about knowing how to get back up. It's not about eliminating stress, it's about finding ways to adapt and push through. In other words, any slip-ups in today's talk, consider them part of building resilience. Do you know what astronauts say is one of the most stressful things they face in space? It's not power failures, it's not meteor collisions, it's not explosions or even alien attacks. The thing that worries them most? Their families and loved ones back on Earth. My friend once told me that when it comes to stress, people, whether they're astronauts in extreme environments or just going about their everyday lives, are more alike than we realize. Astronauts might be floating hundreds of thousands of kilometers away in space, but their minds are still on their families, on the people they love, on their kids going to school, on the everyday moments happening back home. And that tells us something. No matter where we are, we seek connection. We adapt. We find ways to keep going. That's resilience. Astronauts deal with workplace conflicts. Just like anyone in a regular job, they worry about their health, their finances, and the intense pressure of their careers. And one of the biggest sources of stress for them, the monotony of daily routines. When you think about it, that's not so different from life for most people. Sometimes conflicts with friends weigh us down. Sometimes work isn't just stressful, it's boring. One of the biggest concerns about chronic stress is that, if not managed well, it can take a serious toll on both physical health and overall well-being. Long-term stress related to relationships, health, or work can directly impact the immune system, memory, and even heart health. But here's the good news. Some people handle stress better than others, and they become more resilient. And from them, we can learn strategies that not only help us cope with stress, but actually grow stronger because of it. So, how do we become more resilient? First, let's talk about what doesn't help in building resilience. Stress has a way of taking over the mind. It demands attention, making negative thoughts loop over and over. We've all tried to stop thinking about what's stressing us out, tried to distract ourselves, even suppress those thoughts. But does that actually work? Let's try a simple exercise. Right now, think about anything you want, but don't think about a white bear. Go ahead, think about anything, just not a white bear. What happened? No matter how hard you tried, that white bear popped into your mind. This demonstrates something important. Suppressing thoughts is not an effective strategy for dealing with stress. The more we try not to think about something, the more our brain fixates on it. So if suppression doesn't work, what actually helps people become more resilient? Resilient individuals tend to experience more positive emotions, happiness, joy, excitement, and contentment. They're also less affected by negative emotions like anxiety, fear, sadness, mood swings, or jealousy. They're often open to new experiences, outgoing, and willing to take on challenges. They also tend to build strong connections with their communities, finding a sense of belonging through meaningful relationships. And so, does that mean becoming resilient is just about being happy and having lots of friends? Not quite. Like most things in life, the answer is much more complex. While the science of resilience is still evolving, by studying resilient individuals, we can identify a few key takeaways about what truly helps us build strength in the face of adversity. Take the example of a high school senior. She signs up for an advanced math class, joins the debate team, volunteers at a homeless shelter in her community, and boldly asks someone to prom. Each of these experiences has the potential for meaningful growth. She might sharpen her math skills, win a debate competition, feel proud of giving back to her community, and build a new relationship. But at the same time, every one of these choices comes with risks. She might fail her math class, lose a debate, get rejected when asking someone to prom, or feel overwhelmed by the harsh realities of homelessness. Even those failures and challenges bring something valuable, the opportunity to learn resilience, to adapt, and to grow stronger. Every time she overcomes an obstacle, she doesn't just improve in that specific area, she builds a deeper, more lasting resilience. Not everyone realizes this at a young age. Sometimes our best examples of resilience come from the people around us. A friend of mine once told me about the first example of resilience he ever knew. His father? His father was a Holocaust survivor. 4 years in concentration camps, forced into grueling labor, the only one in his family who made it out alive. But even after unimaginable trauma, he found passion, immigrated to the United States, started a family, and poured himself into a career as an engineer. He didn't just survive, he lived. It was a powerful reminder that resilience isn't some abstract concept or something reserved for a select few. It's something that can be built, nurtured, and strengthened through the choices we make every day. My friend's father didn't just get through life, he embraced it. He never missed a chance to hit the tennis courts with friends, carried a light-hearted spirit, and even his off-color sense of humor became a symbol of his optimism. Looking at these two stories, a high school senior and a man who endured some of the darkest trials imaginable, it's clear that how we face hardship and seek meaning in life is what fuels resilience. So how do we pursue a more meaningful life? Sometimes it requires changes in our behavior, but the truth is, changing behavior isn't easy. 2 key principles for behavior change. First, gradual change is more likely to succeed. Small, sustainable changes are easier to maintain than sudden, drastic ones. When people try to change a habit overnight, they often feel overwhelmed and give up quickly. Think about something as simple as flossing. Everyone knows flossing after every meal is good, but how many people actually do it? Many have tried and failed because they couldn't keep up. But instead of attempting an all-or-nothing approach, start with the smallest step. For example, tonight, just floss 1 tooth. The goal isn't to have perfect dental hygiene immediately, it's to create a manageable change, because once someone starts with 1 tooth, they're likely to move on to the next one, and then the next. 2. Self-compassion makes behavior change more effective. Behavior change is never a perfect process. Some days motivation will be low, mistakes will happen, but the key is to avoid excessive self-criticism. Studies show that people who practice self-compassion are more likely to sustain long-term change. How many people believe daily exercise is important? And how many actually do it? Exercise is a powerful way to build resilience. It helps regulate emotions, enhances cognitive function, and aids in physical recovery. But in reality, sticking to a workout routine is tough. Many people never start, or if they do, they quit soon after. Instead of trying to overhaul your routine overnight, take a gradual approach. Try the 5-minute rule. Commit to moving for just 5 minutes, whether it's a short walk around the block or a few simple stretches. No one needs to run a marathon tomorrow, but small actions can lead to significant long-term change. And most importantly, when working on behavior change, be kind to yourself. If you miss a workout, don't be too hard on yourself. Self-criticism only leads to discouragement and less motivation to continue. Instead, forgive yourself and try again the next day. Consistency is what builds resilience. Astronauts have shared that one of the most effective ways they manage stress in space is by looking at Earth and taking photos of it. Not only does this provide a sense of calm, but more importantly, it connects them to something larger than themselves. It helps them get through difficult days, minor conflicts, and reminds them of the purpose behind their mission. Engaging in meaningful activities, not just as a stress relief tool, but because they bring joy and purpose, can help build resilience in the most natural way. When the mind is focused on meaningful goals, stressors take up less space. Everyone has their own path to resilience. For some, it's meditation. For others, it's photography, learning a new language, or becoming more involved in their community. No matter the path, the message remains the same. Embrace stress. Face challenges and learn from mistakes. Practice self-compassion for yourself and others. Get back up after failure and celebrate progress. And above all, remember, resilience is not fixed. It's something you can train and strengthen day by day. What do you think about these principles? Have you ever tried changing a habit gradually and sustainably? Or have you ever been too hard on yourself when struggling to make a change? Share your thoughts, experiences, or any strategies that have helped you become more resilient. Drop a comment below. Your story might inspire someone else.